Part 3. One of the things Galileo looked at was the moon. The view thrilled him. People had believed for centuries that the moon was perfectly smooth. Through his telescope, Galileo could clearly see huge mountains and craters. The moon's surface was rough and uneven. Galileo knew that these discoveries were dynamite. They would cause a scientific revolution. He could prove with his telescope that his own scientific ideas were right. How the old-fashioned professors would dislike him. Everywhere in the sky, Galileo saw countless stars that were invisible without a telescope. Carefully, he noted his observations and made lots of sketches. It was all so exciting. What would he find next? In January 1610, Galileo made one of his greatest discoveries. Observing the planet Jupiter, he noticed that it was in a line with 3 little stars. It might be a coincidence, but the next night the 3 stars were still there, although the pattern had changed. For several nights, Galileo watched Jupiter. On some nights, he saw 4 stars instead of 3. The pattern kept changing, and sometimes he could not see all of them, but there were definitely 4 little stars following Jupiter. There was only one explanation. Jupiter had moons going around it. When he could not see one of them, it was because it was behind Jupiter. Galileo wanted to let everyone know about the wonders of the telescope. In just a few weeks, he wrote a book called The Starry Messenger. It created a sensation just as he had expected. But some people said he had made it all up, and his enemies were jealous. Galileo often upset people by the way he said things. He always said what he thought, and he had no time for anyone who disagreed with him. His friends warned him that if he went back to Tuscany, he would be in danger from his old enemies in the university and in the church. But Galileo was obstinate and ignored the warnings. He had a scheme for getting a job back home. He was really famous now, and he thought no one could touch him. The family name of the Grand Duke of Tuscany was Medici, so Galileo called the moons of Jupiter he had found the Medician stars. Today we call them the Galilean moons, Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. The plan worked. The Grand Duke was flattered and made Galileo his personal philosopher and mathematician. So Galileo went to live in Florence. But still, many people did not believe Galileo's observation. So the next year, in 1611, he decided to go to Rome. There, he would show the telescope to some of the most powerful and important scientists he knew. The visit was a triumph for Galileo. With his outgoing personality and skill at lecturing, he captivated audiences with demonstrations of the incredible new instrument. Everywhere he went, he was received as an honored guest. He had an audience with Pope Paul V, which was a great success. Galileo was overjoyed. At last, he might be allowed to teach that Earth and the planets moved around the sun, as Copernicus had said.